What's up, everybody? It is another episode of the WAC Hoops Digest podcast. This is Kyle McDonald, founder, editor-in-chief, basically the person that writes about WAC Hoops religiously. It's been a wild couple days. Actually a wild couple weeks, because all the talk has been about WAC Expansion, which there's a huge announcement coming on Thursday, which we basically already know the details, that Sam Houston State, Stephen F. Austin, Lamar, and Abilene Christian are joining the WAC for the 2021-22 seasons. So immediately, basically, right after the announcement. And then Southern Utah, Peter Tamil of Yahoo Sports reported that they may not be joining until the 2022-23 season. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with the announcement tomorrow and all the details that come out. But it's an exciting time. Football is going to be back in the WAC, which means, as much as I love simply writing about WAC hoops, I think we're going to expand on the website to feature football and basketball, because football is a huge sport. And I've already got more followers from Stephen F. Austin fans, Sam Houston State, Lamar, Abilene Christian, all of you. I'm grateful for your follow. So it's great. Remember, follow WAC Hoops Digest on Twitter. Good times there. So let's talk a little bit about this announcement. Obviously, we're going to start football again, FCS conference. I don't know how the automatic qualifier is going to work for the FCS playoffs, because you need at least 7 eligible teams. Right now, I believe it's 8. I'll have to look that up again. I believe it's 8, and unfortunately, with Dixie State and Tarleton State still in their transition years, that won't happen, even with Southern Utah coming in and still only give us 5 schools. So I believe it's 7, And so we'll have to see if the WAC gets an automatic qualifier for that. But we know that they're going to start football, period. End of story. A lot of this move from these 4 Texas schools is because schools in the Southland Conference, where they're coming from, haven't been invested in improving facilities and invested in really growth within the Division One, within NCAA Division One. Athletics. So they see the WAC schools who are engaged in growing and strengthening the brand, being successful, and working to improve facilities, working to improve their teams, their coaches, and so forth. And so that's where these 4 Southland schools really are coming from, is they want that investment. They want to see that teams are invested in getting better, getting stronger, making their conference stronger. And, it's going to be fun. It's going to be an absolute blast to have the Texas schools there. Now there's more Division I Texas football schools in Texas, according to Monitor News writer Andy McCulloch, in the state of Texas that are in the WAC. It's great. And UTRGV is even talking about starting football. And for all of you people that think that GCU is going to start football, no, nip that in the bud. It's not happening. Sources close to GCU are saying that football is not in the mix right now. So I know President Mueller is going to be in Houston for that press conference, but I think it has more to do as a representative of the WAC supporting these schools that are going to be, joining the WAC in this next year. So that's good news. Basketball-wise, it's just going to improve the brand. It's going to give more competition. Stephen F. Austin is a regular in the NCAA tournament. Sam Houston State's up there. Abilene Christian is having a wonderful year right now. So it's just going to add more competition in the WAC. Maybe, perhaps, New Mexico State won't dominate as much. So it'll be fun. There'll be some rivalries. With Southern Utah coming in, that adds another dimension to this I-15 rivalry between Dixie State, Southern Utah, and Utah Valley. So that'll be fun. Where they each get to play each other twice a year. That'll be awesome. And then the Texas schools, obviously, it helps UTRGV, helps Tarleton State. It's just adding to the drama that is WAC hoops. Let's talk a little bit now. Dixie State, rare midweek contest, especially non-conference contest, I should say. New Mexico Lobos are coming into Burns Arena tonight. The Lobos are 0-6. They've lost 6 straight, let's put it that way, to start their Mountain West Conference play. and they've all been by double digits. In fact, their 2-game series against Utah State, the average margin of victory for the Aggies was 34 points. That's awful. Not to say Utah State's not a good team. They are, but that's not what New Mexico is all about. It's tough not playing on their home floor at the Pit, obviously, because they don't have that home court advantage, because they're in Lubbock, Texas, due to COVID restrictions, same as New Mexico State had to leave the state to actually play and practice and so forth. So, but there's only one player on the New Mexico roster that's averaging double digits right now. And, I mean, they're coming into Burns Arena where Dixie State just doesn't lose. I mean, they're 3-0 in the season there at Burns Arena. Wins over North Dakota, among others. I think the other two are against non-Division I opponents, but still, Dixie State's at home. They haven't played in 2 weeks after that Gonzaga loss. Frank Stain's back after dealing with COVID. And the best part is Frank Stain gets that matchup against New Mexico's leading scorer, and I hope I don't botch this, Maluak. I hope I'm not botching that. But Maluak averages 13.8 points, 5.9 rebounds. Stain averages 12.4 points and 4.0 rebounds. So watch that battle, see how that goes tonight, because that could play a huge, huge difference in the game tonight. According to Paul Weir, New Mexico head coach, there's going to be a youth movement with the Lobos tonight. He's going to give some of the younger guys a shot. Nolan Dorsey, Javante Johnson, Isaiah Marin, all freshmen that have played in some games. Byron Matos, another freshman. I mean, because the veterans aren't really showing out, according to Weir in an article written by Jeff Grammer, I like all these veterans that we have, but the results are the results. Weir said that after the 82-46 loss to Utah State on Friday. So we'll see some youth, but the thing is Dixie State's a veteran team. Is that going to make a difference in the game tonight in the Burns Arena? We'll see Jacob Nichols. I get them mixed up. Jacob Nichols and Hunter Schofield. Nichols is having a solid season. He's second on the team in scoring at Dixie State. Hunter Schofield is the big man in the middle, and he's got to rebound the basketball. If Dixie State out-rebounds New Mexico tonight, the Trailblazers are going to win, because neither team is really great on the boards. New Mexico has struggled a little bit more. Dixie State, Hunter Schofield, Daisy Youngblood, Frank Stain, they all have to get involved in on the glass. It should be a fun game tonight. It should tell us more about Dixie State, who missed last week due to COVID issues within the New Mexico State program. I sometimes wonder if that popped up just because New Mexico State knows what happened the last time they played a WAC school in the WAC opener in their first ever WAC game. Remember that California Baptist beat the Aggies in California Baptist's first WAC game ever. That was back in 2018. So I make light of it. I have a good time with it. I'm sorry. It was just an interesting stat. It wasn't, because obviously talking with Chris Jans, there was, he was frustrated with the whole process. He wants his guys to get on the floor to play and play games and stuff like that. You could tell on Monday when we talked to him that he's worried about the mental health of his team, which is, understandable, because they haven't really been able to play. There's been no flow. Every time they try to schedule some games, something pops up COVID-wise, whether it's with the opponent or within the Aggie program. They've been on pause twice this year. And, they had to relocate to Phoenix, so they've been away from their families, been away from their friends, been away from what they really know in Las Cruces. And it plays a huge role in the mental health of these players. So to see Chris Jans show that concern, that worry in his Monday press conference, you felt for him. You really feel for the Aggies right now. Some people say, no, we don't, because they always win, and so maybe this is the year they don't win. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you hate them, GCU fans. Yes, I'm going to point you out. Get over it. It's a shame to see a program that has to go through these kind of struggles, period. Nobody wants to go through it. If GCU is on the same end, I'd be saying the same thing to New Mexico State fans. We hate to see these teams going through these difficult times, and hopefully the Aggies will be able to schedule a couple games, get off pause, schedule a couple games before they have to play next week to open WAC play. I mean, it's just been a struggle. And you know what? I told somebody this the other day. Even though the struggles have been real so far for New Mexico State, watch out because remember it's about 3 days, three games in 3 days, and technically for the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the WAC standings, they get a first round bye this year because there's only going to be 6 teams down there in WAC Vegas to compete if it's still held in Las Vegas. Anyways, so that's that on that front. Tonight again, tip-off is at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. It can be seen on the WAC Digital Network between Dixie State and New Mexico. All right, now it's time to talk about my power rankings. If you haven't checked them out, go ahead and check them out on WACHoopsDigest.com. Some people may think that I'm crazy because I don't use a lot of analytics. I hate analytics, to be honest with you. The guys that do them, they're awesome. They do great work. I'm just like old school, and I hate them. I played baseball, and I feel like analytics are ruining baseball, the game of baseball, the game I love. And so I try not to use them too much. I try to see what teams are doing in games. I look at stats. I look at, the whole picture rather than just, well, how are they doing this per minute or whatever. That's just not me. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a education thing, but I'm just not an analytical guy. So obviously I'll tell you my power rankings. Grand Canyon at 1, Utah Valley 2. 3, I have a tie between UTRGV and Seattle. At 5 is Tarleton State after really giving GCU all they could handle this past weekend. 6 is California Baptist. 7, Dixie State. 8, New Mexico State. And Chicago State will be number 9 all season because their season was suspended, and so they're not playing the rest of the 2021 season. So we won't really talk much about them. Excuse me. The reason I have GCU at the top, well, they swept a road conference series this weekend. Won by 3 on Friday night, won by 13. Was it a 13 or 11? 13 on Saturday night. You go on the road, you win 2 conference games. It's impressive, And Asbjorn Midtgaard, who won WAC Player of the Week honors, averaged 18.5 points, 10.0 rebounds. Gabe McLaughlin had his best game in a GCU uniform on Friday. Oscar Freyer was the hero in Game 2 with 4 3-pointers. There's talent there, and Javon Blackshear and Alessandro Laver didn't even play real well this weekend. So imagine what the Lopes can do when those two play well. Imagine what the Lopes can do when those two play well along with the other guys. 2, I have Utah Valley. They swept CBU. At home, which is why they're at number 2. It wasn't a road series. If they would have been on the road, they would have been number 1 just because of how dominant they were on Friday night against the Lancers. 27-point win on Friday night, equaled with a close win on Saturday night. 4-point win on Saturday night. I just think there's a lot with this Utah Valley team that people aren't seeing right now, and they need to keep an eye on them because they have probably the best combo of big men in the WAC right now. Don't get me wrong, Alessandro Laver and Asbjorn Midtgaard are great, and they're all kind of set. This is setting the stage for that regular season ending series, March 5th and 6th, between Grand Canyon and Utah Valley. That should be a fun one to watch because it'll be a battle of the big men, really. I have UTRGV and Seattle tied at 3. The only reason, they haven't played any conference games. UTRGV was supposed to play Chicago State, but we all know what happened with Chicago State this year. Both of them are coming off impressive wins over non-D1 opponents that they scheduled late, make up for the open weekend. I really like UTRGV right now because Jeff O'Cherry, the former American East Defensive Player of the Year, finally took the floor. So now UTRGV has a rim protector along with Sean Ray, and O'Cherry had 7 points, 4 blocks, and 5 rebounds in just 12 minutes. You get Javon Levi back, and UTRGV is going to be dangerous the rest of the season. So keep an eye on the Vaqueros. They host Dixie State this weekend, it'll be a fun one because I think UTRGV with their pressure defense, full court pressure. Now they have a rim protector. I mean, they're going to be good. They're going to be very, very good. Seattle, I mean, they've played every single one of their games, 12 games, without having a hiccup. And I knock on wood because I want to see the Redhawks play the Wolverines this weekend in Seattle. City of College, San Francisco, transfer Darian Trammell, really as a WAC Player of the Year candidate, along with his teammate Riley Grigsby. I mean, Trammell and Grigsby are the only Redhawks averaging double figures. Trammell averages 17.5 points per game. Grigsby averages 18.6 points per game. So, I mean, the only concern with Seattle is who else steps up on a nightly basis. That's the biggest question. Aaron Nettles, Jared Perrier, Emeka Udinye. I hope I say that word. I have to go back and listen to the pronunciations. But that's the thing. If you stop Trammell or you stop Grigsby, who is going to step up for Seattle and make the difference? Tarleton State, I have at 5. I mean, Montre Gibson was amazing on Friday night, struggled a little bit Saturday night. Billy Gillespie is just a great coach. You know, if the Texans get some consistency on offense, watch out because their defense is really, 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 really good, especially on the perimeter. And we'll see more. We'll learn more about Tarleton State when they go to California Baptist this weekend. 6, California Baptist. Had it not been for that 27-point win or 27-point loss, on Friday night to Utah Valley, they probably wouldn't be as low as they are. But you know, they showed a little bit of weakness this weekend when they don't hit shots from the outside. In Game 2 on Saturday, they hit shots from the outside. Trey Armstrong had 24 points, and Reed Nott has actually stayed out of foul trouble. I think maybe if Ty Rowell doesn't foul out in the last 5 minutes of Saturday night's contest, CPU might actually have won that game because they had some momentum and they were able to hit some shots down the stretch, and then they were getting to the foul line, so that was important. When CBU is lighting it up from the outside, they can beat anybody. I mean, I know we say that as cliche and everything else, but that's exactly what this Lancer team is kind of built for. Yes, Gorjak Gak is very, very good in the interior. Big, long, athletic, quick. Maybe they need to give him the ball a little bit more, but, I mean, they're a shooting team. They're a bunch of shooters. Reed Nottage, Ty Rowell, Trey Armstrong, Mark Carbone. All of them are shooters. That's what this roster is kind of built upon. So, we'll see what they do because Tarleton State defends the perimeter really well. So we'll see what CBU does at home this weekend against the Texans. Dixie State, 7. They haven't played in 2 weeks. So, I mean, I think they're going to be better than 7. But we'll see. Wednesday night's going to be kind of a telling sign as their rust, you know, how they're going to handle being back on the floor after 2 weeks, especially when they got a big WAC series coming up this weekend. But I know they're excited to be back on the floor, especially at Burns Arena. And I mean, we'll see what happens. I think that Dixie State's going to be a tough out as well, just like Tarleton State. And we'll see more. We'll learn more about the Trailblazers this weekend. New Mexico State at 8. It's hard to put them any higher because they just haven't played. And the last time they did play, they lost to CSU Northridge. I would love to get the Aggies back out on the floor to see them, see what they can do. But the problem is they're missing Jabari Rice and Clayton Henry, who are still out. You know, for Chris Jans didn't really give a timetable for how long, you know, they'll still be out. Hopefully they're recovering quickly and we'll get back on the floor as soon as they can. But those are the power rankings for right now. They'll change from week to week, everybody. So be patient. You know, we'll see what happens this weekend. Conference play is a blast. I have to tell you that Friday-Saturday series going to Utah Valley, the UCCU Center, that was a blast seeing the changes that were made and watching the Grand Canyon Tarleton series. Those were a blast. Tyler and I are going to be bringing you, you know, pre-game live streams, halftime, and possibly even end-of-game live streams that you can follow on Twitter or even go to our Facebook page, which is under WAC Hoops Digest. We also have Instagram at WAC Hoops Digest, so check all those out. Remember to keep following us on Twitter. Send us any questions you have so we can ask them or answer them. Excuse me. Anyways, love everybody. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe. Look forward to interacting on Twitter, on social media, wherever we are, supporting your teams, supporting WAC Hoops, looking for this new WAC expansion. And I hope you have a wonderful WAC Wednesday and a wonderful rest of the week.